Okay, good morning and welcome. My name is Jess Beard and I'm from Inner Alchemist, and I am joined by the gorgeous Bonnie LeBaron. We are taking over for Leonie's spot. Now, Leonie Featherstone does the amazing doTERRA essential oils. She is a born networker and one of my favorite people on the planet. She has got the most generous soul. If you're interested in essential oils and you are wanting to incorporate that into your business, you might already be a massage therapist, you might be a Reiki healer, and you're thinking of bringing essential oils in as something that you can use in your practice, but also maybe sell to your clientele already, I highly recommend Leone because she is just utterly gorgeous and she's really supportive. And when you want to be getting into something like that, you want somebody who is going to be incredibly supportive, hold your hand, and show you how you can get the most out of that brand and multi-level marketing. The thing is she's not pushy. She's just incredibly supportive. So I've been taking over for a couple of Leonie spots, and I've been bringing people on to talk all things essential oils and spirituality and just fun in general. Hi, Gina. So I'm going to be joined by Bonnie, and Bonnie is in America right now. So we're crossing the Pacific, and it's early in the morning for me here in Australia, and I'm quite freezing and rugged up. Underneath here, I've got like 5 layers, and I've got like a blanket on my legs, and you're over there in, really, really warm, and you've got a heat wave at the moment, don't you?
Always, pretty much from this season for the next 5 months here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
So
So
it's not
she's
normal.
from Texas, and apparently everything's big in Texas. And so Bonnie is a multidimensional healer who has decades worth of experience doing healing modalities, and she has learned so many modalities it's not funny. So we'll be bringing in some of the energetics and talking about woo woo stuff and having fun, but we'll also be talking a little bit about essential oils because I want to support Leonie's theme because she's usually on here talking about essential oils. So, in the description above this, there is the link to both mine and Bonnie's Facebook groups. So, if you're loving how everything's going, you want to stay connected with either one of us, please join our groups. We both have a lot of fun and connect with everybody in our groups because we are genuinely cool chicks, aren't we, Bonnie?
I'd say so.
Is that something that's about in America very often? Do they say chicks over there?
Oh yeah, I say chick all the time. Also, I'm originally from California, so I have that slang on top of a country. After being in, I've been in Texas for 10, 11 years now, so it's
Wow.
a coast mix and a Texas little slang going on here.
Californian Texan.
And
I love
in
it.
California, we say chick a lot, but not as much in Texas. That's one of the things that people can call me out. They're like, "You're from you're from the yeah."
Perfect. Um, so we've got Shy saying hello and Veronica. Um, so how is everyone doing? Please, in the comments, tell us where you're from and if you have any questions about essential oils. Um, I just wanted to jump right in and start talking about the essential oil that you have used the most. I think you were talking to me about frankincense, and and I was really eager to know how you've used it in the past.
Well, that's a really vast question, so I'm just going to answer it in layers because it is layered. I use frankincense for past life and also family healing. So the link between, so when I'm going through emotional things, particularly related to what I believe that my soul came in here to help heal on behalf of my family lineage, on behalf of my line. And I use it, that's not an easy process. and even though, you can still wake up and maybe go to work and have your normal day and everything's normal, but then maybe at night, like there's still different kinds of memories and things coming through when you're doing this deep healing of patterns that keep showing up, then that responds a lot of times, not always, but sometimes it can come back to the origins of a past life. So frankincense is very soothing, and it's been around forever. So, there's part of us, that part of our soul or spirit that is going to remember that healing smell. Maybe we smelled it in a past life as a medicine woman or worker, or you don't know where you've already used this powerful medicine for healing. So in a way, how people would use certain essential oils before a test, and then while they're studying, and then they would go to the test and have the essential oil on their hand and smell it, and they could recall more things from when they were studying, because there's all kinds of things going on in our brain when we're smelling these things. So I believe that frankincense actually carries those, those upgrading frequencies and codes, particularly in healing the DNA and the family lineage stuff. That's the theory behind it. I got to experience this firsthand when I personally struggle with severe menstrual cycle cramps every month, and I even figured out how to, use it on my body, make topical, get the oil itself, and even just mix it with a carrier oil like coconut oil, and use it on my body to help with cramps, use it in all kinds of ways that you wouldn't even expect. And carry it with you if you're around family. Like I used to use it, over the winter when I'd be seeing my family a lot and not be able to get outdoors enough. And you could smell, the wherever you put the essential oil on your body, and remind yourself like, hey, I'm going through a healing process and I'm upgrading for my whole family lineage here. And this is a reminder. This is, the medicine support for my physical body, because we're doing so much transformation on a soul and spirit level. Our physical body has to have something, or else it's like, what is, or else it just becomes like a dream, So the essential oils, and particularly when I've worked with frankincense in this way, it really grounds you back to, I'm doing this for my body. I'm doing this to upgrade me. And your body just gets that hug every time you smell it, And maybe it's not frankincense for you. Maybe it's a different one that you love. But frankincense in particular is good for the muscle aches and stuff like that too. So.
And how do you apply it? Do you just put it on specific points? Do you do it intuitively? Like, how do you physically work with it?
Okay, this is a kind of like, I'm shy about answering this question. Can you tell? Can you sense me being shy? Okay, I'll tell you why. You'll see why I'm being shy. I actually made my own suppository, got the math all correct, and was able to find a carrier oil and use it in my yoni. So actually when I was having severe pain, because I had to do a lot of work on healing my feminine line. Every, woman for generations in my family had dealt with these debilitatingly painful cramps. And I came in here with it because I got it when I was 13. I was like, I thought I had the stomach flu, but that was just my first time experiencing, the menstrual cycle pain. And so I had to get crafty with it. And I did a lot of research, and I figured out safe ways. You cannot do this yourself. I recommend, finding someone. Like, I had to do a lot of work to understand the chemistry of how much to put into these things that make it so that it wasn't too much for my yoni, because there's a science to it. So I happen to have a friend who is like a chemist person, and I was able to figure out the exact right one for me. But I have to say this, cautionarily, because, you know, I actually wouldn't recommend someone to do it internally. You know, I don't actually use it internally anymore. I did for a long time, for a period of time, and then I didn't need to. And I'm not necessarily recommending it, because it's just something that someone would need to do a lot of preparation about, and really like figure out if that feels right for you, really know where, you know, how you're doing it and stuff like that. And so you know, there's a lot of people who are doing this, but it's a little bit more underground because it's kind of a shy thing to talk about. So the other ways I apply it are mixing it with the coconut oil, and then you can use it topically anywhere on your body. So I would put it behind my ears, you know, third eye, anywhere on my belly or anywhere on my body topically, depending on how much and what carrier oil you use. Like I use coconut oil or cacao butter. Then, you know, you can make your own like lotion of it, and use it anytime you need that extra, like it's like the codes. It's like the codes that my body needs to remember I can heal. I can heal. I can heal. It's like I can get through this. I can heal this. So that was my elaborate answer to, sorry, you have, I was like, please don't ask me how I use them. Please don't ask me. How do you use them? I'm like, I can't lie to her. I use them.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly brave. And there's more and more people talking about Yonis steaming and all kinds of stuff. So it is becoming slightly more talked about. And I'm actually really chuffed and proud that you've thought outside the box and you have done something that's different instead of going and just medicating and
Well,
not
it's only because
fixing the issue.
I mean, I love ibuprofen. It saved me a lot of times, but I realized I take it every month since I was 13 years old. And you do have to realize that, like, that, you know, eventually that can cause its own effect on your liver. Like they say not to take ibuprofen past 40, age 40. I'm like, oh, I'm 33. I better start figuring out what to do. You know, or they say to limit, you know, and so it's like, well, what are other options? And also, I mean, there's an energy component too. It's like I did the frankincense because that supported my energetic upgrade. So they went really hand in hand.
Perfect. And have you ever tried the Yoni steaming?
I have not done yoni steaming. I've heard of it. Sounds amazing. Maybe one of these days. I know. List.
Yeah, I think it's something that some people just respond to. A lot of people who do womb work respond to it really well, but it's another thing which, like, a lot of them will put the dried herbs in the little kettle. They don't necessarily use an essential oil. And just like you were recommending that you get somebody who is knowledgeable, I would be
Yeah.
recommending the exact same thing.
Didn't maybe talk to someone who, I didn't like take this on as a professional thing. I just did it for myself. But for someone to do something like that, I mean, I'd recommend talking to your practitioner that you're talking about who does essential oils, and just asking her, hey, you know, I heard this crazy girl Bonnie talking about how she made suppositories of them. Like, is that a thing? Or, you know,
Yeah.
because really it is such a, like, that's such a sacred place. There's just, you know, it's going to be different for everyone. And I also have a lot of support. You know, I see a lot. I'm a healer and I see a healer. So, you know, I'm making sure that the support's in place, because it is a deeply intimate thing, you know.
Yeah. And
And powerful.
and yeah, even with the yoni steaming, I wouldn't suggest using an essential oil with that unless you have somebody who has done it, tried it, because you can mess with your pH levels down there as well.
Yeah,
And
that's why it's
um,
not something that I recommend for someone to go and like do themselves. I'm just talking about, here's what Bonnie did, and here's what I'm doing now. And now I use it more topically over my body and over, you know, those spots of my body that feel pain. When I'm feeling pain, muscle aches, back aches, things like that. It helps. Like, it's kind of vast.
And you make soaps because you have allergies, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm very sensitive. I have super sensitive skin. So that's what got me into essential oils is that I just super sensitivities, and essential oils did not hurt me. So it was really great. I used to get reactions all over my hands. I mean, it's really what led me into healing work. So I think experience now, but I couldn't drive my car because I was having such bad reactions. I couldn't work like my jobs because I couldn't use my hands to carry things, like which forced me into a huge healing process and awakening, and then eventually like doing the deep healing work with other people I'm doing now. So I thank that experience and leading me to things like finding ways to do it naturally with essential oils, and finding, natural essential oil type soap products, and things that, don't have the sodium oil sulfates, because that's one of the big triggers for a lot of people. That's kind of one of the hidden ingredients in everything. So I had to look and be like, what doesn't have sodium oil sulfate in it? And really the essential oils were the main thing. And it was just so fun. I could get the whole thing and do the orange. And I don't know if you've tried, but do you feel the difference, like when you do the orange essential oil versus when you do the lemon versus the peppermint? Like I did the peppermint this morning just to wake me up, because you know like less coffee could be good. So things like
So, what was the chemical that you mentioned that's in a lot of the soaps that people have issues to?
sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate.
Oh, wow. Because I've always had a little bit of an allergy as well, and not to the extent that you've had. And I went and did a course with the same lady that taught me the Australian Bushflower Essences on how to create like your natural moisturizer creams and the whole different things. And we would mix a blend of essential oils, but also the Bushflower Essences in there to create the product. And oh, my skin and everything reacted, because your skin is the biggest organ on your body. And I didn't know that until I went and, really worked with this and gone, oh, that makes so much sense. And even to these days, if I have to use, I'm visiting a family member or something, and I have to use a normal shampoo and conditioner, as it's washing out and it's going all the way down my body, I feel my body just rejecting it as it's like going down this, I'm forced to use it, and my skin's just going, that's not nice. Something's wrong there. And so my hair products that are fairly um, natural as much as possible as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be so careful. I mean, I'm talking like vacations, I have to bring my own everything. Like, I have to, I mean, even like if I stay at a hotel, they wash the sheets with sodium lauryl sulfate, like detergent. So I have to bring my own sheets that I've washed with my, special sodium lauryl sulfate free. And I mean, there was even times when I was even using essential oils to help with making my own types of detergents, because yeah, I had to go down that route too. Like, because it was just in so many things. And yeah, now I've found, different things that work for me, but they still, a lot of them have essential oils added in. So I would just add my own a lot of the times too, to the different things I had to make for myself, because I just had to get crafty. I was in college when this was happening to me, the reactions. So, I was living like any other college kid. Like I didn't have, I actually had I had gone to the doctor and been doing these laser treatments to try and get the healing, and the healing that way, which didn't work. But what I'm saying is, like, I didn't have the most resources to figure this out. And like a lot of these products can be, like, for a college kid who's like, what? I'm having to pay, like this thing I used to pay $4 for is now $22 or whatever. So I got to figure something else out. And those essential oils were so cool because they're so strong. They're so powerful. Just a couple drops and you're like, your whole washing machine is going to smell like oranges. It's great. Or whatever, you know, in there.
I find it fascinating how many people I know who have become healers because they have some kind of thing that needs healing within themselves. They try the traditional route. Well, I shouldn't say traditional, I should say Western, and they'll try the medical route and it doesn't work for them. So they have to think outside the box. And that's pretty much the start of their spiritual journey. So do you think that that was like a really big linchpin moment, is when you had to just go, okay, I have these hand issues, I need to be able to move my hands, and that was like the go, I need to do this?
Oh yeah, that was a pivotal moment. It just brought me back to my healing work over and over and over and over and over. You know, because it was even when I couldn't work anymore, I ended up, well, what I could do. Well, so then it was like, well, what can I do? So I just followed my intuition. Was my intuition say? I feel like I bought some time to just follow my intuition, and then I grew that time.
Yeah.
Where it is now. It's
Do you
so, but I had to see the evidence, and I had to get, you know, I had to do some serious just freedom type meditations, like 10 minutes a day, where I take 10 minutes to meditate and be in peace and be in play and be in joy. And even if, you know, I don't care what is going on, I can always have those 10 minutes. But that's how it starts. And then I just expand on those 10 minutes until those 10 minutes are an hour out of my day, until it's now, you know, now it's 2 hours. Now I have a whole afternoon off to take a nap. Now, you know, now my job is starting at the time I want. It's like all of a sudden, like all this time opens up, but it's like the expansion of those 10 minutes that actually creates the time. So, when you ask, was it pivotal? Like, yeah, I mean, it was pivotal in that I got those 10 minutes and I started expanding them, which when I was working my other careers, I didn't believe I had that time. So I followed my intuition, which led me to organizing meetup groups and working with a variety of communities, doing authentic relating games and events for empathic, intuitive, and highly sensitive people, which gave me the opportunity to like just get to know a lot of people and organize a lot of events and connect with people in that way. And then that took me to working, doing my healing work over the phone. Because one thing I could do in my hands when I couldn't do my jobs I had been doing before because of my hands, I noticed I could sit on Meetup and create this event. And I could call these places and, you know, figure out how to get all these and use my contacts to, you know, call people and be like, hey, so, you know, you have this event space and you guys need an event space, and, you know, just like sat there and thought it through in a different way and then created a job for myself through that. And then eventually there was another transformation where I wanted to, Spirit told me to start working interpersonally with people. It said, you know, give up the in-person. And of course, later on, COVID happened, and it made sense why Spirit came in so, you know, grandly saying, you need to give up the in-person events. Go get ready to do online. Go turn all your stuff a year before. It was like, go learn how to work completely on your phone. And I was like, okay, that's weird because I'm running all these events all over Austin. Why would I, you know? And I followed my intuition, and now I have the best of both worlds. So it's kind of like following that over and over and over again. And there's definitely times I'm not following it. And even those times I just pray that, you know, my will to not follow my intuition actually be overridden. I'm like, hey, Spirit, Source, God, Universe, can you just like, if I override my intuition, can you just like help me like not do that, please? You know, take over. If you need to take over, that's great. Yeah, okay, thanks. And then I see where the magic.
What was your first modality that you studied and why were you drawn to it?
Okay, well, really the first modality I studied is I got the secret book when I was 16. So I was I was one of the people who was like, the secret, the secret book?
Yeah.
The secret, yeah, okay. And I was like, this works, everybody. And my friends were like, Bonnie, you're crazy. And I was like, it's fine. You guys don't have to believe it. It works for me. I'm going to keep doing it. And I manifested some really great opportunities, an internship at NASA, and someone actually who was a rocket scientist, literally. He had kind of taken me under his wing in the whole process. And I was moving away to Texas to go to college. And right before he handed me this book that was Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, Asking Is Given.
I have that one.
It was just so weird to me because I had these different worlds in my head. I was like, he's a rocket scientist. He doesn't believe in my weird manifesting stuff. But like to see those worlds collide was so powerful for me because he was doing it. Like, Bonnie, I lived my life by this. How do you think I got here? And I'm like, oh. So I started reading that book and it was just magical. Like literally I opened the book. I read intuitively just to a random page, was going through an emotional experience at the time, opened the book, got like the upgrade of what to do from what the book said, jumped on my bike because I was like younger at the time, jumped on my bike and randomly rode my bike to this cafe and bistro where I just intuitively sat down somewhere, and the woman I happened to sit right next to says, oh, hi, I'm just sitting here, just chatting away. And she's like, where do you work? No, I said, where does she work or something? It came up and she said, Moffett Field. And I was like, wait a second. Only people that work at NASA say Moffett Field. I was like, wait. And I'm like, I work there too. And like, she ended up being someone who worked in PR and she ended up, and I connected with her. We had a drink, we talked, we laughed. I told her, I just randomly, my intuition told me to come and sit right here in this spot right now. And she's like, you just sat right in front of me right now. And she was hiring for another position for me to get after my internship. And so then there was this, like, I'm like, what? And she's like, here's, now you know me. And so go down here and apply here. And we have this job open and I need you to do it. You'll be great. And I'm like, I was like literally just sitting there reading that manifesting book saying, how do I get out of intern into a real position? I literally sat down right next to the woman I needed to talk to. And that was when I was about 19 or something. And so I'm 33 now. And that was enough proof for me to keep following that modality.
Yeah.
So later I ended up adding the next thing I added. So I really got into the law of attraction and manifesting and frequency work, even then resonating and all that stuff. But then later I added Reiki, which was more of the hands-on energy healing. So that to me was another piece of the puzzle. Like I needed, I taken manifesting so far, and eventually when you're a heady person like me, you just like the heady stuff takes over. And I had to incorporate a modality like Reiki, then found me. And I was able to incorporate that, and that helped me ground the manifesting work. And then later became an apprentice for someone for the last 6 years who she healed herself naturally from cancer using energy work. So been working with her for 6 years and just really seeing the divine power of doing the energy work. And there's been other things in there, of course, access consciousness and oracle cards and things like that I have right in front of me. And so that's kind of how I started. Sorry, your question was, what was the first one? Well, there's a run through.
I love that. That's one of my favorite stories of a absolute law of attraction and manifestation that I've heard in a while. My friend has some wild ones, and she loves to play with the universe. And your story is right up there with her. She wrote. She said to the universe, I'd like someone to hand me $1,000 in an envelope with my name on the front of it. And the next day, someone this is the humor, because you have to be very specific. So she works in a place which receives donations for a hospice, and this person wrote down, put $1,000 in an envelope and put her name and her boss's name in, and handed it to her. So she got exactly what she asked for, but it wasn't hers. It was a donation, but it was to the point, and it was within 24 hours. And she just has the most fun with the universe, and she just has, if she needs something, she just manifests it. She's just brilliant.
I have
And
I have learned that lesson also. I'm like, oh, I need to manifest this for me, not just being the one to help, like, because event planning and stuff, you end up running a lot of money through, and you're like, oh, wait, oh, okay. Like they eventually, you're like, wait, I'm dealing with a lot of money, but now I need to deal with a lot of money to my stream.
yeah, and yeah,
all
so
that
she should have said something like $1,000 in an envelope with my name on it so that I can spend it for me, or something or other. Just added that little bit, and I did that with a car once. I had a list of like 11 things. It had to be white, 4 cylinders, under a certain bit of kilometers, a certain age, electric windows, um, air conditioning that works, CD player. Like, I got everything, and I forgot to ask for a good engine, and it had been traded in with a cracked head gasket. so, so I had this almost perfect car. And so I called her Christine because I wanted her to be pristine, but she only lasted X amount of years. And I couldn't ethically do what was done to me, which was patch it up and trade it in. Like, that's not my personality. So I literally put water in that car every day that I drove it for like 4 years. And then I got my new little car, and I called her Hope. And I hope that she goes forever, and has no issues, and she's perfect. So I've learned my lesson when it comes to being, when you get specific with what you're asking for, you need to be careful, because words are spells, and you
100.
don't want to do a half-assed spell, because
Yeah.
you can get what you're given, and you've got to be specific, and that's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I will do all now. I have learned to. I only do the manifesting work if at the end I do say, God, thy will be done, like, or will be done, like, because I know that spirit source, the universe, is protecting me. So I'm like, within all of these things that I'm manifesting, because I've, like you said, like, I've manifested the thing I want, and also, it wasn't the thing I wanted, or it didn't come out how I wanted, or sometimes, I mean, most of the time, spirit knows better than I do. So I do, but also, I've tried the other side of this coin too, where I went like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna do any manifesting, just for fun. Let's just, because I started when I was so young, like 16. So eventually around 30, I'm like, let's just stop and just see what happens. Like, maybe I don't need to do all that manifesting stuff. Like, maybe it'll just come out for me, and I'll still pray to God, still have that connection, but and it didn't work for me. Like, my bank account dropped so fast. And then the second I started manifesting again and doing the meditations, the affirmations, like, every day, just the meditations, the affirmations, and like doing a wealth log, like going through like how much money did I actually receive today, writing that number down, just to thank the universe, because I'm asking for money. I better be showing it, like, hey, thank you for this money I received. And I do that by writing it down every day. And so just doing those few things, and like got me out of that, and I kind of had to see my power. Like, I kind of had to see, like, is this really even working? If I just stop doing it, will it affect anything? And, I did. I figured out it does affect things for me. And that's how I am. I don't think everybody has to manifest this much. It's just we all have different strengths and skills. And, my expertise are in healing. And so I work in, like, healing comes easily. And healing and working with people in the emotional realms comes easily. But I can't forget to do my own manifesting work at the same time. But also not being open to it totally completely shifting, because spirit has a way better plan anyway.
I really like what you said about how you bring in the God aspect of thy will be done. And there's an element of karma as well, because sometimes we can get so busy wanting to manifest what we want, and the more we believe in it, the more powerful we become, that we can become so focused on what we want that we could inadvertently do harm.
Yes.
Somebody else. Yeah.
Thank God I had,
Yeah.
a slap from Goddess, honestly. Thank God I got some, Kali energy coming in there to kind of like remind me, like, hey, you're not in control. You don't have to be, and actually you're making it harder. And there were some things that, like, I had false starts on. Like, I built 4 websites and tore them all down. Like it was because I just felt like I had to do it. I had to push. And then, like, I ended up booking more clients when I took my website down without a website at all. So it was just kind of things like that and I was trying to manifest this website like every day. I'd write every day on my manifestations before I go to sleep. I'd write my appreciations and I write what I'm manifesting. I'd be like, I'm manifesting this beautiful website. And then, like, I manifested it, but it didn't even matter. It didn't even convert in what I was, like, needing at the time. And then once I just went interpersonal and just started talking to people, because that's how I am, that's how my magic is, then I actually did, receive more clients in the healing work I was doing. So
I see this as kind of like um, I'm a chess piece that my higher self and God is like moving around a maze to get to the other side. So I'm a little puzzle piece in the game of life, and I've let go of so much stuff with working with the archetypes. So I've done enough work that I've shifted into really trusting with my intuition. So now it's all about flow and resistance. So if I come up against something and I'm trying to control it, I'm trying to manifest, I'm trying to do this thing, and if it is not in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, there is no movement. And I have to check myself, because I can get out of sovereign. I can get out of that alignment and that holographic alignment. So I was getting recently I'm going to, how about I do this course and I create this and I take a chunk out of my curriculum and I do that. And so I said yes. And that is energetically all I did. Is I said, I will do, yep, I've made the decision that I will do that. The moment that I said yes, and I said I was going to plan to do it, and I said yes to the universe, within 24 hours at 2:22 in the morning, I get up and go to the toilet and I read a message. And somebody who has been following my work for a while says, I'd love to work with you, with the archetypes. And I sold the program I said yes to doing before I even created or done one word. And that's the resistance, and that's the flow. And then
yeah,
I was coming up against
work, and I was saying, oh no, come back later because my website's not up, so you can't schedule through the website.
Yeah.
Like, we're turning people away or whatever. It's just so silly.
That's the perfectionist being naughty.
Oh yeah. God, I'm more types now, but it's what you're saying. Like, we get off here with the manifestation.
Yeah. And but I love the fact that it really comes down to frequency. And when you start to go back on the path of what you do and you say yes and you start to go that way, I always get rewarded by the universe so that I know it's the right way. Yes, you're going on the right way. Sometimes I almost feel like my guide and spirit is going, oh, that took you an entire 30 days to work that one out. You know, didn't you realize you were blocked for a reason? Come on. And I can almost sometimes have a sense of amusement from my guides, as if to say, she wasn't quick off the mark this time.
It's also it's amusing. Yeah, yeah. I've had these things happen, and that's back to why we have to tune in and listen. And back to like 10 minutes I was talking about in the beginning here, like taking those 10 tune in and listen. Like, what are they? What is needed here?
Yeah. Talking about amusement, this is a bit of a segue into a strange topic. Um, but sometimes I'll have moments with my different guides or goddesses that I'm working with, or they come through randomly in a meditation. And sometimes they have the funniest sense of humors. And have you ever had experiences like that?
Oh yeah, I'll just start cracking up all the time. Definitely. Yeah. A lot of times when I drop into healing work, I had to actually kind of train myself to kind of like internally laugh sometimes because I'm doing deep, emotional trauma release work with people, and like sometimes they need that fun laughing energy, and sometimes they need someone to hold, a different resonance at that time. But it's always funny. It's always so funny, like and I love experiencing that. And even I went to Colette Baron Reed's Oracle Palooza, which Colette Baron Reed's written a lot of these decks, and she there's 300 people there, and of the 300 people I ended up being one of the 3 people that had mediumship come through. And oh man, I just lost. Wait, sorry. Just even thinking about that, like it. What was the ask?
We're talking about funny things happening.
Oh, funny things. Right when she tapped into like what ancestor was going to come through, she just started cracking up, and I was like, "This has got to be my family line. I know it." And she's like, "Bill, Bob," and one of my grandparents was Bill, one of them was Bob. So I'm like, "That's got to be me, I think." And of course, it ended up being for me. And she even was saying like, "It's just so funny. I just want to laugh. Tapping into this whole line, I just want to laugh." And I've had other healers tap in and say that too. It's like you just want to laugh. And I think that laugh is it's gotta be, it could be, to me now, it's kind of like a symbol of my ancestors sometimes when I'm just cracking up in this random stuff, or just but when I tap in, I used to call them laugh attacks, because I would just start laughing. Now I don't call it a laugh attack anymore, because I kind of learned how to work with the energy. But yeah, I used to just, thank God for the mute button. Like, I used to sometimes just put myself on mute and laugh for a minute and then come back.
Classic. My latest experience was I just did a retreat with the amazing Ursula Perron, and it was my first retreat, and we took us into this meditation, and we'd been working earlier that day with the goddess Kali, and we went into this meditation, and it was for Archangel Michael and like all other kinds of things that happened. But right in the middle of the meditation, I got the clearest visualization, and she'd been talking about how over in the Middle East, when the woman thumps her fist onto her hip like this, that's no. And when they open up, I'm trying to show you, like with your arms open wide, your chest and your arms out, that's a yes. And so in the middle of this meditation, Carly pops in clearest visual. She's got all the arms, and she goes to me, when I mean no, and she puts some of her hands onto her hips, and then she puts all of them. She goes, I mean no, and all the hands go down. So when I mean no, and then the hands go out, and she goes, but when I say yes, I mean yes. And it was like the most awesome thing. And then just as she's saying that, Ursula's in the middle of the meditation going, now about Archangel Michael. And I said to Carly, I said, I'm supposed to have Archangel Michael now. And she just did this throaty laugh, as this chuckle, as if to say, yes, it's his time, but I'm coming in now. And it was the coolest experience ever. And I just was I was beaming in this meditation, and I had to make sure I didn't laugh because it was not appropriate. Everyone else was in this deep meditation with Archangel Michael, and I've got Carly going, when I mean no, I mean no. And when I mean yes, I mean yes. And like this full on visual, and it was just the coolest thing ever. And then she laughed when I'm like, it's supposed to be Michael, and and she's just like, and she just chuckled. It was so cool.
I know.
And so
Actually, can't really control these things. Like, I mean, apparently that's what your spirit needed in that moment. I mean, she something for you. Also, that I mean no thing. I mean, and that's back to the resonance and stuff. So things that we see in our meditation, that's really like a download of frequencies for you to tap into. You're always going to remember that. Like when you need to say no next time, like
forever. And do you know the perfect thing is I was teaching about the shapeshifter archetype, and which is the shapeshifter needs to learn to say no. So I'm going to forever think shapeshifter with that moment with Carly, and just, I can forever use it as a teaching tool as well. And because as they bang their hips and they're saying no, that's the energy you actually need when you're really starting with this, and people have been people pleasing and saying yes, yes, yes to everybody. You do need that Carly strength to come in to say no, especially if you're really worried about what people are going to say. You've been saying yes for the last decade. What are they going to think when you say no? And there can be a lot of fear about saying no when you've been doing it for so long. And so it was just the coolest representation, because on an archetypal level, that is the energy you need for the shapeshifter. You need some Kali.
Seriously, that's genius. And that's why she had to come out for you. You know how like Archangel Michael is like, okay, that's good, like because she, it's like it's a different energy. And I mean, even just being able to see that visualization. Okay, literally when I was hearing you say that story, I just thought, oh, there's another thing, like, because these energies we want to access, this goes into access consciousness. The energies we want to access are always available. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. We can just choose to access these frequencies and these resonances through things like what you just said. Like that's like almost like a little chip. It's like going into my heart drive, Oh, when I really some extra support, I can tap on my hips and kind of like in that Kali energy. And I have specific ways of tapping in to these specific frequencies through access consciousness, but essentially just even like the motion that you showed with the hands on the hip, even just doing that is going to carry an energy that is accessing that Kali energy if you put that intention to do that. So like, I would use these energy tools, and they're important for things like when I used to do events with a lot of people and I was facilitating a room of 30 people, and I am a highly sensitive person. And like that's why I got so good at energy tricks, because like I don't have time to sit and go, Kali, can you please come in? I'm facilitating a group of 30 people. Instead, I just, like, no, we need to move on. Okay, let me just tap my hip, and then like I'm accessing that energy if I've like pre-programmed it that way, to do. So there's all these energy shortcuts. And just to bring it full circle back to essential oils, I mean, essential oils are an energy shortcut too, like, so I love that story you just had about Kali though. That was great.
Yeah. And it was just so wonderfully, Ursula was telling us about, the women will go out on the street and dance. and they will express themselves through dance. And if they're angry or if they want to be saying no, they'll be doing this. And if they want to be saying yes, they'll be doing this. And there's like a language to the dancing as well. So it it tapped me, even though that I, as far as I know, I don't have any um, genetics in that specific part of the world. I'm still tapping into the divine feminine, and I'm tapping into all those millions of women who have danced that way for a millennia. And there's something ancient about it. So even though it's not my culture, it felt really familiar, maybe past life, who knows? Um, and so I could just picture these women dancing, and it is an energetical no, you know. So you can tap your, you know, and if you're, you know, go back to the shapeshifter archetype, or your martyr, your prostitute, or your child, anytime where you are saying yes when you don't want to be, and you're having to reprogram. It's a tool that you can do energetically to reprogram that pattern and that neural pathway, so that you stop saying no, you stop prostituting yourself, your time, your energy, your emotions, because it's time for us to be doing the things that we want to be doing, you know. And it's just such a huge wound with women, but I actually have helped quite a few men with it as well, you know, which
Mm-hmm.
is inability to say no. They fear
Oh,
that they're going to
comes
be,
for both, all genders, not just
yeah,
both.
yep, feel like you're going to be judged, you're going to be abandoned, they're going to hate you if you do it. Um, you know, that's the orphan child. Just that one aspect, you know, will really fear saying no, because, well, what if you reject me and abandon me if I say no? And so it's it's really, really so intricate on why we continue to just constantly say yes when we don't want to. We don't want to. No,
I know.
no, I don't.
I
Deal
mean,
with it.
I had to learn this lesson. I had to really start realizing the reality of it. When I say yes, when I mean no, it is, I'm trying to beat around the bush around saying some words that feel harsh, but it's true. It feels like an act of violence against myself.
Mhm.
So when I got real with that reality, I was like, okay, it's easy to say no, because that's way easier than me dealing with, because of the guilt that I would experience from saying yes when actually I knew that I had a date with my meditation that night, and I said yes to going out when I knew I didn't want to. Like
Yeah.
like that's going to cause some repercussion in my energy system, because I'm not trusting myself to do what I need to do, and to try, trusting goddess, what,
Yeah.
spirit, source, universe, to guide me.
When a lot of people, interesting, I cleared my throat because this is where I'm going. Um, when a lot of people, you say, I'm going to speak my truth, people think, oh my gosh, I'm going to like start speaking up for myself, and I'll start telling them, and now, you know, if you're doing something wrong, I'm going to tell you you're doing wrong. That is only the tiniest smidgen of it, you know, standing up for yourself. The true hard work is the congruency factor between your head and your heart. Your throat chakra is your bridge between your head and your heart. And if your heart is no, I don't want to go out, and your head is going, oh, you could meditate when you get home, and you know, you probably should. And your heart's like, I don't want to. And you don't speak your truth. You don't speak what, you know, is actually the congruent factor for you. So what you then do is you go, yeah, I'll come along. I'll, you know, and you say yes to that person. So on a vibrationary and energetic level, you are clogging your throat chakra. You are not speaking your truth. And that's the hard work. Telling somebody they're doing something wrong, and I'm going to speak my truth. You're got a bad tone of voice, and you're doing this, and then, you know, don't treat me this way. that's only the tiniest level of working with the throat chakra. If you really want to clear this, it has to be a clear bridge between the head and the heart, and your intuition and your heart. And that's where the real work comes with it. And I think that's why so many people's throat chakras are so locked down, is because they're not allowing it to be that congruent bridge. Your mind's going this, you're checking in with the heart, and it's not speaking the truth, you know. And so it's even croaky now just talking about it. And I find that if I talk about the throat chakra,
And you're watching this with us right now, there's an energetic transmission going on, and so when we're healing, it shows up in our body a lot of the second that we're doing the healing work, because it's it's like, look at, you are doing the healing, or you needed to know to talk about that. But the healing, I mean, it's vast with the throat stuff. I had to get help. I had to get a healer. I had to get a professional. I had to do it that way. I also was saying no. I had to train, because I pleaser my whole life. So it's not like you would expect to do anything your whole life and then suddenly switch it because you heard philosophically that it made sense to do that. Like, that's not how humans operate. It takes 30 times of, doing the behavior. So I went to things like, part of my degree is in interpersonal communication. So I had a lot of opportunities to practice, like in the group environments, just literally me and another person doing these exercises where I had to the exercise was like, involved me just having to say no. This person's going to say requests and I have to just say no. And then this person's going to say requests and I have to say no, but like what I would want, and I just had to put in the time doing the training. And then when it came up, it was like, I had the muscle memory and I had the kind of like, and it felt so stupid doing the game sometimes because you're like, this is so lame. Why do I even have to sit here and do this? But it's really just, it's just like, we wouldn't expect ourselves to do anything without training our muscles in some way to do that. And when we're in the moment and someone asks us a question and we suddenly have to say no, like, you're getting the fight, flight, or freeze response usually from almost, from something like that. So you have to kind of train yourself to be able to do it. And, luckily I did establish awesome connections with people where I could tell them, like, realistically, I can't do this tonight because it doesn't feel in alignment with me.
Yeah.
And they have to with that or not. And that's whole nother thing. But finding people who, honor you for staying in your sovereign, no matter what that looks like.
I pretty much was talking very similar about this in my group. One of the ladies asked if you have toxic inner thoughts. So I did a live last night about it. And when you're transforming these issues, whether it's saying no, or if you have a really toxic inner critic that's going, oh, you're going to fail, you're going to suck at this, you're going to do this, you don't even bother, you've tried 50 times, Jess, why would you even bother? I used to have the most toxic inner critic, and it took a lot of work. You need to activate the warrior archetype if you're going to be successful in this. Just like you just said then and there, you can't change these patterns and change these things without activating that and discipline yourself. And every single time, be vigilant. So I used to say to this little voice, this little inner critical voice, I see you. Thank you. I no longer want you in my life, and I'm going to go and do this. And I would do that every single time it was being critical and toxic to me. And after the first month, I started to see good changes. After the 3 months, it was really really amazing. And then around the 6 month mark, it was incredibly it was funny. It was like this little voice. It was my ego, and it was in its shadow, and it was to come up with these ridiculous little things, and I would just laugh at it at this stage. So it took 6 months of solid work but you could see the transformation. The only thing that got me through that is discipline and the warrior archetype. The sovereign could see the pattern and what I wanted to change. I wanted to change. But if I want to change, I have to activate the warrior. I have to alchemize. I have to love myself enough to do it. And so I thought that was really cool that you brought that up. When it's literally I same thing in my group last night, and it's just so important. If you want to say no, you have to be disciplined in saying no. You can't just do it 3 times and then go back to saying yes, yes, yes. It's a life changing commitment. Hmm.
And it gets easier. I mean, it does get easier. Like I said, 30 times of doing it, and it's gonna be a lot easier. Like you
It
know.
does.
But it is a process. It's just a process of going through that and just not beating ourselves up as we have to go through that process. It's called being human. There's literally science behind this. The science of human behavior says the thing we have to, as we start changing the behaviors, you'll get incentives along the way. Like for me, my incentive to meditate, I meditate because I like, not because I like, well, I do love to meditate, but there's always that time when you don't want to meditate,
Mm-hmm.
and I I do it because what I love is waking up the next day before I even open my eyes. I can feel if I've meditated the day before.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Body feels that good or not that good. There's not even just my body, it's my whole brain chemistry. I can literally feel, did I activate like my serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin and all those things in my brain? Because that's what I do in meditation. And it really just activates a lot of those things. And so it's like this, before I open my eyes, I can feel if I meditated the day before. And that's why I meditate. So eventually you find the incentives that just happen. And I recommend, looking for those incentives and letting them be the thing to drive your behavior forward instead of having to be like, oh, I have to do this thing. I have to meditate every day. It's like, well, no, I just want to feel good when I wake up because honestly, I don't want to drink them. I used to have to drink a lot of coffee to get up. Now I just meditate the day before. It's easier for me. I don't want to get up and make a pot of coffee every day.
That's really amazing. That's really
But
cool.
don't get me wrong, I love coffee, but it's
Yeah.
back. That coffee sometimes I've had to work with. It can trigger my addict behavior, right? So for me, coffee is like come and go. Like I have to be very, very careful with it. But I crave it if I haven't done my meditation the day before. So
Yeah.
about managing it all.
So we have actually come to the time where we've been chatting for an hour,
Oh my
and
god!
we're going to have to wind up. Thank you for everybody
All right.
who watches the replay as well. And if you want to connect with Bonnie, I've got her descriptions in the link to her group. She does the most amazing healings. So she does distance healings as well. I've had healings with her, and I feel like a blissed out bowl of jelly afterwards. So I like to do it in bed where I can then just have a snooze. And I always get a lot of transformation. She is amazing. So if you'd like to know more or connect with her, just follow the link in the description. I have put the description for my business page and for my group. So, Archetypes and Alchemy is my group, and I do frequent lives and teachings, Zoom gatherings, and Zoom teachings about archetypes and just about how to alchemize. There's all kinds of things that I do in there. At the moment, I'm doing a series of videos on how the empath can protect themselves energetically. So It's a diverse group of amazing people. I have the loveliest people that come into that group, and it's a really safe and supportive and loving environment. So if you would like to connect there, please do. We're going to have to round this up, and Bonnie's going to be with me again next week. We'll come up with some topics to talk about for next week and have some fun. Two awesome chicks again.
Yep, play. We'll keep playing. This is so fun. Thanks for inviting me today. And thank you, everyone listening.
It's been awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you next week. Bye.